Okay, guys, welcome to another Monday night Grubb Cast. This is my year anniversary, 52 shows, and I've got a real special guest on tonight. I've got him in backstage right now, and let me run through the sponsors real quick, and then we'll get him right on. You're going to get a lot of knowledge tonight on fishing rods. Fishstyx custom rods. Like I say all the time, guys, if you ain't got one, you're missing out. You better get a hold of one. You'll buy a second one as soon as you get the first one. Hook and Donkeys, plastics. I got a real good trivia question tonight. Sanborn Builders. If you want a deck, remodel house, whatever, get a hold of Sanborn Builders. Ace Hardware down on Richland Avenue. You can get you anything from electrical to tackle to, they got Blue Rock bait and tackle in there, Bang Bang sticks, you name it, they got them. Hobbs Roofing up in Akron, Ohio. Phil, Rusty, Jeff, Pizza Stop out in Albany, Southern Ohio Sanitation, and Williams Son Construction. They Pizza Stop, you can get you some good food, and Williams and Son, you want a house built, garage, whatever, you can get whatever you need built with Williams and Son Construction. There's Tracy from Maryland, Jeff Bateman. Hey guys. So guys, I'm going to go ahead and bring Dale on. He's sitting here in the background. Guys, I want to welcome you to Amazing Fish Rod Builder. He's been doing it for years. He's going to give us some knowledge. Everybody welcome Dale Meter onto the show. Hey Dale.
Can't hear you, Tony.
Can't hear me? Now can you?
I can't hear you.
Okay, I can hear you. Did you get your... We tried this last night. I can hear everything in your mic and stuff. Okay. Yeah,
hey, I am so sorry. I can't hear you.
I can hear you plain as day.
Oh, you can hear me when I'm talking?
Yeah, I can hear you while you're talking. Yep.
Good deal. Well, I'll just leave my phone on, and that way I'll hear what you say.
Okay.
And, okay. I'm sorry. Sorry for the technical after we debugged it last night.
Yeah, that's all right. Well, give us some knowledge.
Okay. You when we first you said you just wanted me to talk about how I got into rod building and all of that, and then what we've done with Fishstyx over the last 40 years or so. And I'll give you the Reader's Digest version on all that, if that's okay.
Yep.
If there's something you want me to expand on, just stop me, because this isn't pre-recorded, right?
Yep.
So
we're live.
I guess it all started when I was actually in college and needed a part-time job, and I got a job working on the back of a charter boat. And my boat captain that I worked for was actually a rod builder. So one night after I was done with my duties, which included washing the boat, I went by his little office. He was in there building a rod. He said, "You want to learn?" I said, "Absolutely." So that started. His name was Al Waldron, and Al was a legendary builder of big water rods. And so that was where I learned building stuff for offshore fishing. And he ran a charter boat out of South Florida. And we fished all over the Keys and the islands. It was a great experience for me because I kept learning more and more about how rods were. He was also a hobbyist, so he was the first guy to taught me how to flip, which wound up being something I spent many years doing. The building of rods didn't really take off until after I was out of school, married and all that. And it started as a competitive bass fishing at all different levels. Pretty much all the levels existed. And what I kept running into was certain applications rods that didn't fit. Either fairly tall and certain rods just didn't fit. Have a longer arm. And so I started modifying. I was actually sponsored by a rod company at the time, and the rep came by one afternoon at a weigh-in, and I happened to have done it. And he was leaning on the boat. He said, "What happened to your rods?" I said, "I'm not sure which mean." They're not right. They're not right. They are right. No, they are right. He said, "But they're not what we gave you." And I said, "No, you're not. I had to modify them to me." And he said, "We can't do that." So I said, "Well, I have to do that because I thought I was going to make a living chasing green fish." He didn't like the fact that I had taken their product off the shelf and cut it up and changed it. That relationship ended that afternoon. So I guess I got fired in my only job besides fishing with my wife. And I don't think my wife would fire me here. I'm probably in good stead. So that afternoon, I went home and sat down with my wife, who had started doing some thread work on rods. And I said, when I got fired by the rod company, she said, "Well, I think it's time we start one." So Fishstyx came to life that afternoon. The next day was a Sunday, and a young man came over and he got us a domain name, which I didn't know what that was at the time. But he got us a domain name, and my wife came up with the brand of Fishstyx. And that has been what we've done for the last over 40 years now. Fishstyx actually sprang to life. I started building seriously in the mid-80s with those modifications. And as time went by, what I realized there was a lot of guys that do rods. So we started in that market. I had guys with me all the parts, and I would build the rods. And just kind of taking what Al had taught me a couple of years earlier, that all went for a little while. And then I started realizing I was giving away a lot of my time to these guys, and so I started charging people. So we went from having a company just to protect ourselves a little bit to it actually becoming a business. And for about 15 years, we did 100 to 200 custom rods a year. So everything was custom ordered. We developed methods to fit rods. So what are the key measurements on a person? I know Tony Wells, so I know his forearm is shorter than mine. So if you have a rod that's too long, then it's uncomfortable to fish. So we started learning those tricks, developed templates so that we could measure a person's hand and figure out where the reel seat needed to go. We also discovered that as you do that, as you fit a rod, it's very important that the rods stay neutral in the angler's hand. So we started balancing our rods. And you can do that by moving the reel seat a little bit, but then, as I just mentioned, you can mess that up for the angler. So we learned how to counterweight, and we actually put weight inside the very bottom rod if we need to do that. We can't take weight out, but we can move the reel seat around a little bit to try and seek a balance point. So if you pick a Fishstyx rod, it should balance. Without a reel on it, it will balance, and label with a reel or balance right in front of the reel seat. So we learned those things through trial and error and experimentation. academically, I was educated as an engineer, so I started tinkering with designing the taper on blanks. And what you realize when you start messing with a rod is there's lots of ways to make a rod perform. And the principal one is how the rod gets built. So when you look at manufacturing of rod blanks, which is where my head went from just trying to get a rod to fit me to how do I make it perform better, we realized that if you build a rod directly on the spline, so a rod has a natural backbone to it, we build on that backbone. That way, when you draw a rod back, the rod loads straight back. When you cast forward, it loads straight forward. So you get the optimum performance out of a rod. And that'll work if you're casting sidearm or backhand. It all still works the same way. So by building on the spline and balancing the rod, we get the maximum performance out of the materials we're using. Then you get into materials. So rod blanks are made in a whole lot of different materials, and being what I've really become a total rod geek, and started understanding the mixing of materials. And so when we build rods for our customers, we're targeting a product that fits the angle, fits the market, and fits what they're going to do with it. So by having a variety of rods and a variety of materials in the blank, so we build one thing from graphite to carbon fiber to glass. There's different glass rods in the market, fiberglass, of course, and they're made in different ways. Some of them are linear glass, some of them are called glass. And those are all brand names, and that leads to composite rods that give us, again, back to performance. You want a glass rod when you're fishing crankbaits and things like that. That you use a small hook. If you've got a smaller hook, it's easier for the fish to throw it. If you've got a fiberglass rod tip, it works like a shock absorber, so that hook will not pull out as easily. So if you're a crankbait fisherman and you're throwing graphite rods and you're losing a lot of fish, typically that's because they're throwing the hooks. You can work on the hooks, which we all do, but then you also can change that rod tip up and get a rod that has at least the top half of the rod is glass. And so you'll see those kinds of things in our line of products. And I'm kind of wandering around a little bit, getting into materials and what have you. But the end game is to find the tool that fits you, that fits the job you're trying to accomplish. So that said, it's a key thing when you're looking at a fishing rod for the application you're looking for using it. There's been so many changes in the industry. I mentioned I've been working for 40 years. I competitively fished over 40 years, and I grew up where all I needed 3 flipping sticks and something to throw a spinnerbait on. So outside of that, you didn't need a whole lot of stuff. Now, obviously, we fished a few other things, and after years and years of fishing in Florida, I moved. I thought I was pretty good, and I moved to North Carolina. I found out I wasn't good at all because I got up there and everybody was looking at me with crankbaits, and so when I actually made the move, I did not own a lipped crankbait other than a Rapala, the old Rapalas. So I moved to North Carolina. Of course, I'm in Carolina. I'm in the country with the guys that fished up there. They're wearing me out, so I had to start learning to fish crankbaits. Then I had to figure out how to keep them buttoned up because everything I threw was stiff rods, stiff tips, slow tips, because I was fishing everything heavy. So now here I am having to fish a more finesse style fishing. So I had to learn it. And it also got me to learn a lot about rod building. When you look at the rods that you're matching to what you like to do, if you're a finesse fisherman, you don't even need to look at the heavy power rods. If you're a finesse fisherman, you want to focus on the medium and down to the light. The way rods are manufactured, if built right, the rods are going to take a lot of stress before they fail. And by that I mean you can use a lightweight rod and still be catching 7-pound smallies, 6 and 7-pound smallies on a light power rod. You got to work the rod, you got to have the right feel, and you get the right tip on that rod. So when you're shopping rods, you're looking at rods, even if you're looking at the ones you already own, you're thinking, I can use this for something else. Consider the backbone, where the backbone picks up. So you can take a blank, a rod, and you can bend it. I don't know if I can do this visual picture, but if you look, I'm just loading a rod, and what you see is where it stops bending is right up in here. So that's all tip, and on this rod, that's about 40% of the blank, and then where it goes straight, that's your backbone. So if you can get the rod to match what you're trying to accomplish, if you're fishing tough, you want a longer tip, a softer tip. If you're fishing heavier baits, jig fishing, shorter, have that flex pick up sooner, more backbone, you'll be able to handle bigger fish. So I hope that it's all making sense, because that's how you start to match the rod. So I talked a little bit about matching the rod to the angler, a little bit about trying to find the right rod for how you fish and the applications that you're using. And that's what leads most of the fish all over the place. It leads us to have, the 24, 25 rods in our boat, because you start having all these mixed applications. And of course, if you're like me, you're so that when you get a professional overrun that's nasty, you can't fix it. Drop it and pick up the same thing, an identical matching piece. So rod building has been, I guess, back to Tony Action to talk about. Rod building has been just something we did, and I started doing it out of, as I mentioned, out of what I consider to be necessity. As we progressed in the industry, we started having more demand, and we actually were at the very first event where a particular brand of rods was introduced, and we saw those rods coming in for repairs almost immediately after they were introduced and purchased. So the rods were failing, guides were pulling out of them. People were paying $150 for a rod, and in those days that was an awful lot of money. And the guides were pulling off the rods. And I came into the shop when Wendy was in there working, and she had all these rods lined up to be repaired. So one of the local guys had found out that we could fix rods, and suddenly we're bombarded with rods to be repaired. We sat and had the conversation of, we can build a rod for $150 and make it built right. So we started the line of rods in Fishstyx we called the series, which are our graphic rods. They're bulletproof rods. They hold up incredibly. We do a lifetime warranty on them. But we started rods, and we started it with 8 models, I believe. I think there's 15 in the line, and they cover the gamut from short finesse rods all the way up to extra heavy blinds that can be used for almost anything. We've got people in the saltwater using them in the Northeast to catch blackfish. People are using them for catching big bull cats. They're using them off the Gulf Coast for bull reds. And then we've got the finesse stuff that the crappie fishermen are using. So we run that full spectrum in the line of rods. When we started those 20 years ago, $150. Obviously, they're a bit more now. But that's the evolution of a product for us. And every one of those rods is hand built here in South Carolina. Every one of them is touched by Wendy and I at this point in time. Every one of them, when we build it, is splined and balanced. Every one of them, we back wrap the guide. That means on a single foot guide, we bring the thread around the foot and tie it back in, so you can't pull the guide off one of our. And we do all of it primarily because we don't want to see it again. After you own it, we don't want to see it again, because if I see it again, then you've had a bad day, and now I get a bad day. So the idea is to deliver once, you use it until you're done using it, and then so presumably someone else will use it. During the life of the Clearwater series, we had a lot of guys who were professional anglers, and I'll talk more about that group in a second, but we had guys who were professional, semi-professional, very serious anglers who wanted something sensitive. Graphite has a limit to its sensitivity, so you have to go to higher modulus graphite. And without getting real about it, the more graphite they put in the rod, the higher the modulus count is in the rod, the more that's in it, the more sensitive the rod becomes. So we had a demand for high modulus rods for what I call contact fishing. Anytime you're in direct contact with the bait and you're having to sense the bite, it's not a moving bait where the fish slam it, it's something you have to sense, then the high modulus rod becomes important. It became necessary. So we started engineering rods. We were about 2 years in development on those rods, finding the right carbon fiber blank, and then designing it to remove all the weight we could move. We started building those rods. We're in the third generation of those blanks. That rod, and each model, each generation has been a blank change where I found a better blank to do the job. The last change we made to an American-made blank. So our Wicked Sticks is that line of series, high modulus graphite, the Wicked Stick. The blank is made here in the U.S. The rods are built here. All of the components are not made here, but the rod is built here in South Carolina. Again, built the same way. Every rod is splined, every rod is balanced. As we designed that rod, we started taking weight out. So we used a scalable reel seat to take weight out. We reduced the size of some of the hardware on the handle to take the weight out. So we actually have those rods. Those rods are down to 6 and 7 ounces, which is ridiculous. So you get one of the lightweight reels, and without being ashamed, I use Quantum products and I use their Tour Mags. I have one of those. That reel is 5 ounces. So now I'm right at 3/4 pound rod end, which when you get to be my age, it's nice to not have heavy in your hands all day. So getting weight out. Weight is the enemy of sensitivity. So the lighter you can make a rod, the more sensitive it becomes. So that was the Wicked Stick, and those have been remarkable products. We have a lot of customers those almost exclusively, and we've got all sorts of people in our Ohio market that have abandoned traditional Ohio upper Midwest brands and have migrated over the Fishstyx and the Wicked Stick in particular. We also, for those we introduced a line of rackets 2 years ago called the Tidewater, which are our inshore rods designed all of the various species that swim inshore. Pretty simple lineup. Son is an avid inshore angler, so he is the guy who did all the testing again over 2 years in development and field testing of those rods, and they are in production now. This is the second year for those, and the uptake has been really good on those. Of course, we still do all the customs. As I look over the board, we've got about 23 customs on the board as we sit here right now, which is great. I mean, it's nice that people still want the unique pieces. Some of them are retirement rods. Some of them are just guys who want something unique. And so we do those. We're at about, as a company, we're at about 700 rods a year. Tony helps us move those very well. And we do the Columbus Expo every year, and that's always a good thing. And some of those rods are for customers we met in Columbus this year. So the build, I think, has differentiated us in the market. To last as long as we have in the market is, I think, a testimony to a couple of things. And the first one is every one of our rods is built. We stand behind our rods. If you call the phone, unless I can't figure out how, which can happen. But the product is built to endure. We stand behind our product, and we're really proud of that. So I hope I've done what Tony wanted me to do. We have rods in boats around the country with people that you watch fish on television. I fished with those guys for many years, and a lot of them are friends. But more important, can't find that piece that to do what they want to do. Then that's what we tend to get engaged and build those plain brown wrappers that they can hide from their sponsors, and that's all part of the game. You're trying to make a living with a rod and reel and chasing another species that has its own thought processes. You need everything. You need everything in your arsenal that you can put there. So sometimes it's a confidence thing. Other times it's a necessity. So that I think is everything I know that I can tell you about what we've done. I do have to say that if you go to our website, and I'm not trying to get you to do that, but if you go to the website, you'll see a bunch of beautiful rods on the website. My wife has become a person that people look to in the industry when it comes to how to make rods beautiful. I can make them function all day long, but if I wrap it, you're not going to be happy. And when she puts one together, it is not only a highly functional rod, but it becomes a piece of fishing equipment that you'll always have pride in. Even our base stuff, everything. We work hard to make everything look right, and that's all. She's the master, and she is an artist. So it's I am humbled every day when I watch her wrap a rod, and we do it almost every day. Did I miss anything?
I don't think so. I had to mute my mic because it was getting echo when you was talking through my phone, but I turned my phone down now, so I think it might be all right. Yeah, Wendy she can take a fishing pole and turn it into a masterpiece for sure. And
we got one that went out this weekend that was it's going to be a wall hanger because the guy said there's no way he could fish it. We were lucky enough to present it to him, and it was a piece that his family had done for him, and he's going to hang it on the wall, which we hate. We love to see those things get fished, and if you blow one up, we'll make it look like it again.
Well, if you remember, right behind me in the deer antlers is my buddy had that rod that gave to me that passed away, Bill Whitlatch, and you guys wrapped it. Wendy wrapped it and made it, fixed it up for me, and it's a wall hanger now.
I don't have any wall hangers. All mine go to the lake, so they won't work anymore, and then they get set in a rack.
Ron made a comment. You got two wall hangers behind you.
And those are the only two mounts that I have. The big girl over here is a 10-6. That's a Lake Okeechobee fish, and the reason we had her mounted, if you take a look, she's as big around as she is long. She's actually an inch bigger around than she is long. And the other one, unfortunately, was my first fish and my first decent fish in North Carolina when I moved up. And I hit her on a jig, and the jig went up through the top of her head. She came in dead. And the jig must have hit her in the brain and killed her. But I didn't know how to fish a jig at that point in time, apparently, and she got it in her mouth in the wrong place. And I do know how to set a hook. So, she came. I thought I had a piece of trash, but she just came in stiff, and, not fighting. And I got her up. So she went to the taxidermist because there wasn't anything else to do. Couldn't release her. So anyway,
and you guys are going to be in Greenville, South Carolina this weekend.
we'll be there Friday, Saturday, Sunday at the NOE Outdoor Show in Greenville, South Carolina. Yep, and that's a new show run by a very experienced promoter. So we're hoping for a good turnout there. We go to Gonzales, Louisiana, mid-March. Anybody down in Louisiana, come and see us there, Gonzales. And then we close the show season the 1st of May in Florida, in West Palm Beach, Florida. So that's the end of the show season, and that's really the beginning of summer fishing. And certainly in Florida, it gets it'll be wide open from May on.
Okay. Anybody got a question for Dale on here? I've had a lot of comments here just saying how the people to do on your rods. Fred said they're very impressive rods. He's bought several from you. Fred Redburn.
Yep. Fred has a bunch.
One of our teammates, Charles Bailey, he's on here. Said best crankbait rod on the market.
Charles is a good guy, and he's one of our heroes. He's a firefighter. He's more than a firefighter. I guess he's acting chief at the moment. But he's a firefighter here in our area, and one of the guys we all need to always remember the people that are out there doing that first responder activity and how important they are to our communities. They're vital, and Charles is well, he's a consummate stand-up guy, but he's also a pretty good stick.
Yeah, I see a lot of fishing guys. Ron asked this question here.
Say again?
Ron asked that question there. Can you see it on the screen? What's the best link for flipping?
I like a long rod. A lot of guys don't anymore. And in our lineup on the Wicked Stick side, you'll see there's an SWB 710. That's a long rod. We make those shorter as well. Of course, we can make them a little shorter. In my case, I use that one, and then I have the MB 945 out of the Clearwater series at a 7.6. So if you're just straight flipping, doodling or punching, then I like that almost 8-foot rod. If I'm pitching, then I like it just a couple inches shorter. 7.6 is a great rod. The MB 945 at 7.6 is a great rod. And then if you like some people like to pitch with a 7.2. So our heavy power 7.2 in the Wicked Stick series is an excellent rod for flipping and for pitching. And it gets down to a lot of it's down to if you're tall, then it's easier you get a lot more leverage with that couple inches of rod. It's just like when you're crankbaiting, if you're trying to deep crank, go to a longer rod, you'll make a longer cast, lighten your line. The geometry will allow that bait to get deeper, and you can start getting those 20-foot crankbaits down to 20, 22 feet with a longer rod because you can make the cast. When you're flipping, back to Ron's question, when you're flipping, if you're just, like I said, punching or dropping the bait, that's one thing, or if you're short lining it. But if you're having to pitch it any distance, then go down a couple inches. It will give you more range and more accuracy.
And Jack, yes, they make spinning and bait casters. So variety. All the spinning can be made in the same blanks as the bait casters, right, Dale?
Yep, pretty much. Yeah. There's a few that don't cross over so well, especially the ultra finesse stuff. Doesn't really cross over. But once you get to a medium power rod, when you spline a rod, if you're building a spinning rod, you just put the guides on the bottom and put them on the top if you're building a casting rod. So it's that simple. We also do the spiral wraps. If people like that, where the guides rotate around the wall, we do those as well. I personally don't like them, and it's just a visual for me. But I get the functionality, and it works. They work. So yeah, spinning rods and casting rods on the same blank. So a lot of guys do like to flip with a spinning rod. I just haven't done that a whole lot personally.
I don't like it either.
I mean, it's all personal preference, and again, I'll confess a little bit of being an old guy. When I first started fishing, spinning reels, the drag systems were not very good, and so if you ever hung any kind of real fish, you couldn't handle them on a spinning reel. So you kind of had to learn to use bait casters in those days. But as things have progressed, it's become a whole different game, all the way down now to needing that ultra finesse thing with the active target or forward facing sonar game. You've got to be able, you've got to get good with a spinning rod. And those guys are catching big fish on those things, so you'll have to have a reel that can handle it. And a lot of the spinning reels being made today are outstanding. The drags have become very, very good, and it facilitates all that we need. And of course, the saltwater markets, that's about all they use. And if you're somebody that goes fresh in saltwater, just to finish the thoughts, every guide that we use in our house is braid tolerant. So you never have to worry about, if you've got a fish stick rod, you don't have to worry about your braid cutting into a guide. You don't have to worry about deterioration. You only use stainless wire guides. So even though they're mostly black, they're anodized black, and the stainless wire is the heavier stainless wire, so they hold up. We do everything we can to not have rod failure, and so that's guide coming off the rod is a rod failure. So we try to keep that to a minimum by doing those things. So you can look at any of our rods for fresh and saltwater. Now, of course, your reels, you take your reels into saltwater, saying the obvious, rinse them, get reels with steel bearings, and then you can cut down on the saltwater intrusion into your equipment. But if you're fishing, and I know there's a lot of people from the Midwest that go to the coast and saltwater fish. We sell a lot of saltwater rods to people up there that are taking trips. So all good.
Okay, well, I don't want to take up most of your evening. You got to spend time with Wendy and the puppy.
Yeah. Well, Wendy anyway. The puppy focuses on Wendy.
I appreciate you coming on, and it's very special to be able to have you on here on my 1 year anniversary.
Yeah, congratulations.
You and Wendy mean the world to me. I can't say how much it is that I met you guys, and I'm on I'm involved with you guys in Fishstyx.
Yeah, been our pleasure, Tony. Thank you, and congratulations on a year doing this. That's a testimony to perseverance and people listening.
Yeah. Well, I do it for fun, and it also gets information out there, and I have several people that I never even thought would be watching it that watches it. So
Well, you know our drill, Tony. If there's anything I can answer for you or any of your viewers, all you got to do is ping me.
Yep. So, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and give you the rest of the evening with your wife, and I've got to do a trivia question, and we'll be calling it an evening. So I appreciate Dale, and I will be in touch. Hopefully I'll be calling you, getting you some rod orders.
Well, that's good too. We'll take them.
Okay.
Thanks, Tony.
Thanks again, Dale. You too. Okay, guys, that was Dale. What an amazing guy. Him and his wife both. I can't say how much they mean to me since I've met him. I think I've known him for about 8 years now. So the trivia question tonight is, I've got a PBG peanut butter and jelly 3.5 ribbed tube from Hoka Donkeys. It's even got a little pinchers on it too. Okay, guys, there's only Troy Stedden's on here. He's not allowed to answer the trivia question tonight. Matt, the model you bought was, I do believe, the CB878. I believe yours was the CB78. The rod that you bought, Matt. I'm pretty sure. CB78 and the Clearwaters. Okay, guys, get your Google out. I got a good one for you tonight. What year and what month and what year did Gamma Fishing Line start? What month and what year did Gamma Fishing Line start? I've got to meet the owner of Gamma through Dale and Gary up at the Columbus Expo, and he's a super great guy. What month and year was Gamma Fishing Line started? Yes, Matt, it's still in production. You absolutely can buy the CB78. No, Matt, not September. No, Ron, not 2005. No, Ron, not August. Remember, you got to have the month and year. Matt Fisher, November 2010. Matt, send me, or I'll just drop your bait off to, well, Google lied to you, Ron, because I Googled it too. It says right here, Black Knight Industries Incorporated was founded by Dale and Heidi Black in September 2010 and purchased the fishing division of Gamma Fish Technology November 2010. So I guess I'm going to have to give you a pack too, Ron, because it says that they in September 2010 and purchased the fishing division of Gamma Technologies in November 2010. So but Dale is a super great guy, and the fishing line guys, I did a test. I done a test last year, and I need to do that again. And show you guys. I did, and actually, what I'll do one on here next week. And it'll be 4-pound test. I bought some 4-pound test fluorocarbon, and I'm going to try it on the smallmouth. But now I done a 7-pound, a few months back, or well, it's been several months back, and I'm telling you guys, it takes a lot to break 7-pound test. And this 4-pound, I guarantee you, it'll be the same way. I've started fishing it about I started using it about a year and about 2 years ago. And Matt, I use 16-pound Gamma, and it's 16-pound Edge. I do believe is what I don't have it in here. The Edge 16, it's either Edge, I believe it's Edge. I'll have to look, but it's 16-pound test. I run 16 on all my flippy, my jigs, tubes, all those, and then I use 10 or 12 on my spinner baits and buzz baits, and I got a new one that they've come out with now. Set the hook with what, Ron? The 4-pound? Yeah, it's fluoro, Matt. Oh yeah, all mine's fluoro. Now my spinning rods, I go with there's Mason. He's on here watching his dad. Hey Mason. He's from Florida. But yeah, on the spinning rods I throw braid, and then I'll put that 7-pound or that 4-pound to the braid with the leader, and the leader will be about probably, I like about a 15 to 20 foot leader. I like my line reeling down into the reel. You know, I wanted in the rod when the fish, the knot tie from braid to fluoro in the rod itself while I'm fighting the fish right at the boat. I want it down in the reel. So I want it reeled down in the reel. So I throw a 15 to 20 foot leader. Ron said I said 12-pound, but I don't. The 12-pound I use on, like I said, on spinner baits and buzz baits. All my other rods, when I'm throwing a tube or jig, any kind of creature baits, I use the 16-pound Gamma. Matt, you'd have to just go online there and see. I don't have a price list in front of me. There's different, like I said, there's Edge. There's the other one. I don't know it right offhand. There's another one too, Edge, and I wasn't prepared for all this. I'll have all that together next week and let you know all the three. There's 3 different kinds that they have, and then they also have braid, and I bought a package of that, or bought a spool of braid. I'm going to try it. Troy said that the braid was really, really good, so I'm going to try it on my spinning rods this year. Actually, I'm going to be spooling stuff up probably within the next week or so. I've been out working on my little boat, getting lights and stuff on the trailer. I'm getting it ready for the little lakes around here. And then I take my boat down to Graphic Designs. I'm not selling my boat now. I said that last week. I'm going to wrap it and keep it for just keep it. I really love my boat, and you know, I'm going to keep it and go with it. Why are you scared of braid, Ron? Nick, I'm not real sure. Probably I'd say inch-wise, the furthest one back here in the corner. I never had it scored or nothing. It was nice enough for me to harvest, so I put it on the wall. Ron, it wears really quick. What do you mean by that? Yes, Matt. Well, I'm doing the Gunnersville one as a boater. I'm going to Gunnersville in May and fishing the Toyota Series as a boater in May in Gunnersville. That's the only Toyotas I'm fishing this year. It's the one in Gunnersville. Ron, you said it wears quick. You mean? Oh, yeah, especially up in the rocks and stuff. But I hardly ever fish braid, straight braid. I've always got, if I'm fishing, because I don't fish braid on bait casters. Now I will fish. I bought a rod this year up at the Expo from Dale. That's a 100% broom handle. I mean, this rod it's a beast, and I'm going to use it for punching. So, and I'll have straight braid to it, and then when I'm fishing the frog, my frog rod has straight braid on it for the mats and stuff. But when I'm fishing like jigs, tubes, all that, it's all fluorocarbon. So, okay, guys, I think it's my year anniversary, and this is the longest show I think I've had, but I wanted Dale to give us knowledge on the rod building, and he done a wonderful job. And guys, I'm telling you, get with me. I'll get you a rod that you will, like I said, you ain't going to regret it. If you fish with a Fishstyx rod, you will buy more of them, because by far none the best rods out there. But yeah, guys, next week, I got to reach out to a guy. I might have another guest on next week that will be another good guest. I appreciate all you guys on here tonight, all the comments, and tell your friends about it. Let's see if we can't get, of course, Jeremy Reese got me I had a really good view that week of Jeremy Reese. So let's see if this week will beat that one. That'll be really good. So get out there and share it. Let guys know about it. And I appreciate everybody on here tonight. And I will see you guys next week, 8 o'clock, same place. I appreciate it, guys. Thanks.